Get lumped up tonight. Listen to Rob Rossi and Rock'n'Mine on the only podcast that I'll hear that won't make me wanna rip off my ears. Oh, the Rock Show, 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 the Rock Show. Oh, I want the Rock Show. The Rock Show, 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 the Rock Show. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to The Rock Show. This is episode 197, Rob. Here
197.
Getting closer. We're doing Bad Religion today. This is a band that's been around since about 1980 or so. I'll get into the history of it. Last episode, we did DOA.
Yeah.
DOA started around the same time, maybe a year or two earlier.
Yeah.
And has kind of remained underground for the most part. But Bad Religion has had, you know, bouts of commercialism and you know, top 40-ness, okay, in their music, which is fine.
Yeah, they've been all over the place. Like, it's such a weird band. It's like one of those bands that you're like, okay, you heard about them, but you either like them or hate them. It's just like a weird thing.
Yeah, I respect them. They've been around for a long time, and they do have some good songs. They have a big cult following, which is why I really wanted to do the show. And I actually just saw them with my friend Artie. Hello, Artie, if you're watching. Back around Halloween of 23, and they were good. They put on a good show, you know, and they've been around for 40 odd years already. So everybody should see them at least once, you know, check them out.
You want to hear something funny about them? That they're playing in May with Social Distortion Pier 17, which is a great venue to see a show. So if anybody's in the city,
that's where we saw Social D a few years back.
Yeah, so it's going to be Social Distortion with Bad Religion. That crowd should be very weird crowd.
Yeah, that is. Bad Religion has a big cult following, and Social Distortion shows are just nuts anyway. So
yeah,
you know, it should be good. All right, so we're going to go all the way back to 1980 in Los Angeles. Okay, high school students Greg Graffin, Jay Bentley, Jay Ziskraut, and Brett Gurewitz started the band. Okay, and yeah, that's the iconic logo they have of the cross with the X through it. Okay, their first public performance was playing 6 or 8 songs at Fullerton, California, and Santa Ana, California. It was a warehouse show opening for Social Distortion. You just mentioned they're playing with them again.
Wow.
Now, their first official show was on November 11th, 1980 at the Joey Kills Bar in Burbank, California. Graffin has said that the name Bad Religion came about when the adolescent members of the band wanted to just piss people off. So it was with punk rock attitude they came up with the name. In 1981, the band released their initial self-titled 6-song EP as a 7-inch record on the newly formed label called Epitaph Records, and which was and continues to be managed and owned by Gurewitz of Bad Religion. He's the whole thing behind it. During the recording of this album, drummer Jay Ziskraut quit the band and was replaced by Pete Finestone. Released in 1982, How Could Hell Be Any Worse? That was also distributed by the band under the Epitaph label and sold roughly 12,000 copies, which is not bad for a
that's not bad at all.
Small punk band from Southern California at the time. In 1983, the band released the album Into the Unknown. It's a kind of a keyboard-driven hard rock album with a slightly slower pace than what they were doing prior. But almost all of the albums the band produced were sold out of the warehouse that they were housed in without the band's knowledge, after which the album went out of print. This incident, as well as band members' increasingly divergent personal lives, led to the band's temporary breakup shortly after this album in 1983. It was such a clusterfuck, they basically broke up over it.
Yeah.
You know, things happen. So soon after, though, Graffin would reassemble Bad Religion with Circle Jerks guitarist Greg Graffin replacing Gurewitz, who had gone into rehab. He had a drug problem.
Man.
Bad Religion returned to a somewhat mellower rock and roll version of their original sound with the album Back to the Known EP. Eventually, the band split toward the middle of 1985 again. So there would be a reunion, okay, and things would pick up a little bit. They slowly got back together in 1986 out of the Back to Known lineup when Graffin called Bentley and asked him to return to the band. Bentley's response was tentative, but after being assured that the set list consisted mostly of tracks from How Could Hell Be Any Worse, he agreed to return for one show and ended up staying on because he had so much fun. A freshly rehabilitated Gurewitz was eventually convinced to come back aboard. And with Pete Finestone returning on drums and Greg Graffin on a second guitar, Bad Religion was back in full force.
Yeah, that's definitely full force.
Right. Now, this lineup recorded the band's third album, which was called Suffer, and it was released in 1988. The album received a lot of positive reviews from independent music magazines and was voted Best Album of the Year by publications such as Maximum Rock and Roll and Flipside. I remember this very well. By 1988, I had a subscription to Maximum Rock and Roll. I remember that issue.
Yeah, whatever happened to all those like magazine they had?
I think Maximum Rock and Roll might have a website. I think they're still out there in some small way. But Flipside was more for me. I didn't follow Flipside as much. It was more of a skater punk type thing. Okay. But Maximum Rock and Roll was the real fucking thing, man. I got so much music from the classifieds in the back of that, cassettes. You know, people used to swap cassettes through Maximum Rock and Roll. And it was a lot of fun in those days. It was still underground, you know. So during that album, the Suffer album, that tour in 1988, Bad Religion began writing new material for a new album. In early 89, while the band was on break from touring, they commenced work on their next album and entered the West Beach Recorders Studio in June of that year to record it. The resulting album was called No Control, and it was released in November of 1989. And at that point, it was their best-selling record, okay? It sold 80,000 copies.
You know what? That's not bad.
No. For 1989, when the alternative music scene was just kind of peaking a little bit, man, it'll be a few more years. They were kind of like right in the middle of that. So Bad Religion's hardcore punk style continued with their next album called Against the Grain, which was released in 1990. While the album didn't break ground with mainstream audiences, it was the first 10,000 seller and showed how quickly they were growing. The song 21st Century Digital Boy, one of the tracks off the album, is generally regarded as one of the best songs by the band and one of their most well-known songs. And they do play it at every live show.
At this point, they're like actually taking an album like almost every year or every 2 years. They're taking out a new album.
Yeah. I mean, they have a ton of albums.
It's amazing how
that went to
do that.
I think I misspoke. I said 10,000. It was 100,000 copies.
100,000.
Yeah, my mistake. Okay. Drummer Pete Finestone would leave Bad Religion again in April of 91 to focus on his other band, The Fishermen, which had signed to a major label. And Bobby Shea joined the band as his replacement. In May of 91, Bad Religion entered the West Beach Recorders Studio to begin recording material for their sixth studio album called Generator. And that was not released until March of 92. There's a little bit of a delay with that. The album was recorded almost live, entirely in the studio, very little overdubs. Because at the time, Gurewitz had moved West Beach to larger premises, and for the first time, the entire band could play in the studio at the same time.
Wow.
So he stated that it was time to change, and the band did it in a different studio. But as far as the songwriting, it was a deliberate effort to try something different. To accompany the album, Bad Religion filmed their first music video called Atomic Garden, which was also their first song to be released as a single.
Yeah.
Prior to that, it was just albums that they were releasing.
This, you know what's funny? This thing was in a continual loop on MTV, if you remember how many times this video.
Atomic Garden, yeah, that got played. I remember that.
It got to the point that like I don't want to see this no more.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it was always on 120 minutes and all that.
Yeah, it was funny.
Now, to coincide with the band's success, Bad Religion released a compilation album in 1991 that was called 80 to 85. It is a repackaging of their debut album, How Could Hell Be Any Worse, their 2 EPs, Bad Religion and Back to the Known, and the band's 3-track contributions to the Public Service EP. This compilation did not include Into the Unknown. Now, 80 to 85 is now out of print and has been replaced by the 2004 reissued version of How Could Hell Be Any Worse with the same track listings. So if you have a copy of 80 to 85, it's a nice little gem.
Yeah.
Now, with alternative rock and grunge breaking into the mainstream in the early 90s, Bad Religion would sign to Atlantic Records in 93 and quickly re-released their 7th full-length studio album, Recipe for Hate, on that label that same year. So they had recorded this on their own and then put it out on Atlantic. Yeah. Okay. Despite receiving mixed reviews from critics, the album finally broke Bad Religion into the mainstream audiences and got their highest U.S. chart position to date, debuting at number 14 on Billboard. With American Jesus and the song Struck a Nerve, in particular, becoming major rock radio hits at their time. During their Recipe for Hate tour, the band would support several opening acts, including Green Day. They opened for.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. I think I know a couple people that went to see them on that tour when in the 90s. That was when Green Day was just breaking with Longview and all
that. Everybody else.
Yeah, everything else. So Recipe for Hate was followed by Bad Religion's 8th studio album, Stranger Than Fiction. This album got a lot of critical acclaim upon its release in September of 94. And it's actually their most successful album at the time, scoring such hits as Stranger Than Fiction and Infected, and a re-recording of the song 21st Century Digital Boy, which was originally released on Against the Grain. The band also recorded the song Leaders and Followers, which later appeared as a bonus track on the Japanese version of Stranger Than Fiction for the soundtrack of the Kevin Smith film Clerks.
Yeah.
Great movie. The album was Bad Religion's first to enter the Billboard Top 200. Prior to that, they were on like Billboard's Heat Seekers charts.
Yeah,
stuff like that. That's not quite Billboard, but still. This was peaked at number 87, this album on Billboard 200. And was awarded gold, okay, on March 4th, 1998 for sales of over 500,000 copies.
That's a lot of fucking albums.
That's a lot of fucking albums. Now, you know, what's interesting is 1992, the Ramones released an album called Mondo Bizarro, and the Ramones were actually an influence on Bad Religion, and they only sold about, I don't even think they sold 50,000 copies of that record. Didn't sell.
Wow.
Okay. And then you got this band now coming along in the second generation, eclipsing them, unfortunately. But with the success of that album, Bad Religion became a key member of the 1990s commercial punk explosion, alongside Green Day and other epitaph bands like Offspring, Rancid, and NoFX, like California stuff.
Those were all that's when the music really started changing. Offspring and all that.
Yeah.
It had that very poppy, like kind of rock poppy sound.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, to me, the best one out of all of them was probably Rancid, but I was never big on the whole thing. So
Offspring wasn't that bad. They had a few good songs.
I didn't like Offspring because I really couldn't stand the singer.
Yeah, but he was very poppy. That's what I mean. They had that poppy, like, hey,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah, no, it was catchy. It was catchy, and it was
Yes.
radio. It was radio friendly. And
It was very radio friendly.
Yeah.
It was very safe music.
Right, right. Now, Gurewitz left the band right before the release of Stranger Than Fiction. Originally, he cited that he wanted to concentrate on the business ends of things with Epitaph. Okay. Offspring was huge. They needed a lot of time with them. They had released that album Smash, and that was huge. Gurewitz, along with many fans, accused the band of selling out for leaving Epitaph. We're talking about Offspring.
Yeah.
Okay. But as tensions increased, Graffin would sing. I'm sorry, we're talking about Bad Religion, not Offspring. Okay. He didn't like it that they left and signed to Atlantic. Okay.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of tension between him and the rest of the band. So basically some things went back and forth. Words were spoken. You heard about it here and there. There was a documentary about the Suffer album tour called Along the Way that kind of talked about Gurewitz's drug problems and stuff like that. And there was a lot of back and forth with, how much his drugs got messed up the band or anything like that. There was a lot of gossip going on with this. He would respond actually with recording with a new band called the Daredevils, a song called Hate You. So he would be replaced as guitarist by Brian Baker, a former member of the bands Minor Threat, Dag Nasty, and Junkyard. Minor Threat and Dag Nasty are classic. Baker declined a spot one time with REM to join Bad Religion. REM had asked him to come on board. With Gurewitz gone, Graffin became Bad Religion's primary songwriter. Basically Gurewitz and Graffin would split the songwriting prior to this.
The credit,
with Gurewitz out, Graffin became the main songwriter. Bad Religion continued touring, and this is around 96 we're talking about. And without Brett Gurewitz releasing 3 more albums for Atlantic, starting with The Gray Race in 1996, produced by former Cars frontman Rick Ocasek. Despite never garnering the amount of attention as Stranger Than Fiction, it did score Bad Religion a minor U.S. radio hit with the song A Walk, as well as the European release of Punk Rock Song. 1998, Bad Religion released their 10th full-length album called No Substance, produced by Alex Perillas, Ronnie Kimball, and the band themselves. It was a split production. Although the album was anticipated by music critics and fans alike as a result of the band's previous worldwide successes, it was supposed to be big, but it was given mixed reviews. The band would then kind of go on a year-long tour behind that.
It's funny how bands always get like from one album to another. You never know what kind of reviews you get, or what kind of what people are liking, or what people want to hear. Right,
and the music scene was changing by this time. That stuff that they were kind of piled in on with Green Day and all that by the late 90s was starting to die out.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but they would go up and down and hang in there for all these years. Now, in 99, Gurewitz reunited with Graffin to co-write a song together called Believe It, which would appear on their next album, The New America, released in 2000. For this new album, Todd Rundgren, an early musical inspiration for Graffin, was brought in to produce. Todd was kind of an underground sensation, back in 1974. He produced, the New York Dolls debut album, things like that. He was a big influence on Graffin, and it was just, cool to have him on. But it basically really didn't, I don't think it made much of a difference as far as sales or anything like that. They would return to Epitaph, okay? In 2001, Bad Religion departed from Atlantic and returned to Epitaph, and Brett Gurewitz rejoined the band. The expanded 6-piece lineup then recorded and released The Process of Belief in 2002. Graffin stated, "There was a little bit of disappointment on my part when he left the band, but we never had any serious acrimony between the two of us. I can't say the same for the rest of the band, but he and I, being the songwriters from way back, we really wanted to try again." So there was this chemistry between these guys that you just couldn't ignore. Their next album was called The Empire Strikes First, was released in June 2004. Like The Process of Belief, it was widely regarded by fans as a return to the faster punk-style songwriting that some felt was less prominent in the band's music during their time on Atlantic. So it was kind of a return to form.
Yeah.
In April 2004, the band also re-released digitally remastered versions of all their first 6 studio albums on Epitaph, except Into the Unknown. The How Could Hell Be Any Worse reissue, though reclaiming the original title of the band's debut LP, contained all the same material as the previously issued 80 to 85 compilation. I talked about that before. Basically, it had the 80 to 85 compilation on there. To coincide with these reissues, they also released their long out-of-print live VHS tape Along the Way on DVD for the first time. Recipe for Hate, though, could not be reissued, even though it was originally released on Epitaph, due to the fact that it had already been reissued through Atlantic. So they couldn't put that out again. There was some problems with the rights. On March 7th, 2006, a live DVD called Live at the Palladium was released. This DVD featured a live show performed in late 2004 at the Hollywood Palladium, as well as extensive interviews, several music videos, and a photo gallery. During one of the interview segments, guitarist Brett Gurewitz said the band's next album would be a double-length release, but this turned out to not be the case. Greg Graffin would then release his second solo album called Cold as Clay in July of 2006. BadReligion's 14th studio album, New Maps of Hell, which was not a double album, was released on July 10th, 2007. On June 29th of that year, which was Greg Hetson's 46th birthday, Epitaph Records started selling New Maps of Hell at the Warped Tour in Pomona, California. The album was a commercial success and spawned 3 hit singles, Honest Goodbye, Heroes and Martyrs, and New Dark Ages. As a result, New Maps of Hell reached number 35 on the Billboard 200, marking BadReligion's highest ever chart position. The band joined the 2007 Warped Tour to support the album. Hetson formed a supergroup band called Black President, consisting of Charlie Paulson from Goldfinger, Jason Christopher, Wade Human, both from Unwritten Law, and Christian Martucci from the Dee Dee Ramone Band. Okay. In early March 2008, BadReligion played several night residences at the House of Blues venues in Southern California, as well as in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
Yeah. They performed 4 European festival appearances in May and June. I love the House of Blues in Vegas. That's a good venue.
Yeah, it's a nice place. It's a nice venue.
Yep. On July 8th, 2008, BadReligion released their first ever deluxe edition CD, a reissue of the then current album New Maps of Hell. The deluxe version included the original 16-song CD, along with 7 new acoustic tracks recorded by Graffin on vocals and guitar, and Gurewitz also on guitar and backing vocals. 3 of the acoustic songs were new, written specifically for this release, while the other 4 tracks were acoustic versions of existing BadReligion songs. The release also included a DVD with an hour-long live performance, music videos, and behind-the-scene footage.
That's good. That's pretty good fun. Yeah, man.
Now we're getting into the 30-year anniversary already in 2009.
I just can't believe that before 30, they already have 14 albums, man. That's bands that after 14 albums, they're done.
It's like every other year on an average.
Yeah, almost.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in June of 2008, Jay Bentley said in an interview at the Pink Pop Festival in Landgraf, Netherlands, that Gurewitz had already begun writing new material for a new BadReligion album. He stated that the band was planning to return to the studio to start work on the follow-up to New Maps of Hell, planned for a June 2009 release after Graffin teaches UCLA. That's what he was doing in his spare time.
Yeah.
However, according to a December 2008 report on the fan site, the Bad Religion page, Bentley revealed that due to Bad Religion's upcoming touring commitments for 2009, the band would not have a chance to record their new album until around the end of the year for an expected 2010 release date. In August 2009, guitarist Brett Gurewitz sent an email to a fan site mentioning he was writing new material for the next Bad Religion album. In December 2009, Bentley revealed to the fan site that the band was expected to go into the studio on April 26th of 2010 to start recording their new album. He stated that a few songs for the album had been written, and it feels like the songwriting is picking up momentum, he said. Okay. They were aiming for a fall release of the new album. In January 2010, Bentley revealed that Bad Religion will record their new album at a studio in Pasadena, California, with Joe Barresi, who engineered 2004's The Empire Strikes First and produced its 2007 follow-up, New Maps of Hell. Despite the statement made by Bentley about entering the studio in April, he noted that the recording date was now May. So there was some delays here.
You know what it is? These guys were also always on tour. If you look at the tour schedule, they were like on tour all the fucking time. When did they have downtime?
They didn't. In between was when they recorded. That was it. Crazy, right?
Because it's like they just, if you look at the history, the tour, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you release an album and then you tour it for the next year. Release an album, tour it for the next year.
Crazy.
I know. In March and April of 2010, to commemorate their 30th anniversary, Bad Religion toured Southern California and Nevada's House of Blues locations, playing 30 shows in 30 nights with a 30-song set each night.
Wow, crazy.
All for the 30th anniversary. At the House of Blues concert in Anaheim on March 17th, 2010, St. Patrick's Day, the band debuted a new song called Resist Stance from their upcoming album. To coincide with the tour, Bad Religion announced a live album entitled 30 Years Live, which was released as a free download for those who had signed up to the mailing list on Bad Religion's website. It consisted of songs recorded during their House of Blues tour. It also included some new songs from their 15th studio album before the new album was even released. 30 Years Live was mixed by Mike Fraser and released on May 18th, 2010. On May 1st, 2010, a few weeks earlier, Brett posted an update on his Twitter saying, "Threw me a going away party and all my friends hung out with me tonight. Thanks, everybody. I love you guys." This adds fuel to the possibility of the band's new album being recorded the first week of May. On May 12th, 2010, which happened to be Brett's 48th birthday, bassist Jay Bentley posted an update on their Facebook page regarding the recording process of the album. Basically, they said they were recording at Joe's house, and Brooks gets the medal for super ass kicking. Okay, so they were having fun recording this record.
Yeah.
In June 2010, the fan site reported that the new album would be released on September 28, 2010. Jay, who goes by Jabberwock, okay, that name, on the Bad Religion page, mentioned on the site's message board that Bad Religion had finished recording their new album and was mixing it. In an interview at Ascena Rock Festival on June 26, 2010, the band members announced that the new album would be called The Descent of Man. The Descent of Man was then released on September 28, 2010. The album debuted at number 35 on Billboard and at number 6 on Billboard Independent Album charts.
Wow.
On August 30th, 2010, the album version of the song The Resist Stance was released on Bad Religion's MySpace page. Remember MySpace?
Mm-hmm.
The song was also made available streaming on the page a week before the album's release. The band had been touring throughout 2011 to support the album. One thing you got to just notice is they're really using the internet as, you know, they were one of the first bands to really do this.
Yeah, to let people know when the album's coming out.
And actually stream new material and things like that nobody heard, you know?
Yeah, which is kind of cool, you know?
Yeah, it is. It is. On October 18th, 2010, Bad Religion released a vinyl box set of all their albums that is limited to 3,000 copies, including their 83 album, Into the Unknown, which had been out of print for over 25 years.
Now, that's cool.
That is very cool. Okay, but there's only 3,000 copies of that box.
Yeah.
In April of 2011, an interview with the Washington Examiner, guitarist Brian Baker was asked if Bad Religion was going to make another album after The Descent of Man. His response was, "It's all very punk attitude, just like it's always been. We will record when we have enough songs. For us, it just kind of happens." During the Boston show in April 29th of 2011, frontman Greg Graffin said, "After this year, you probably won't be seeing much more of us. We're going to try one more album and then all join the Navy and do honest work." Now, some people took that as a hint at a split or something like that of the band. Bassist Jay Bentley mentioned as early as 2012 time frame for going back into the studio in an interview at Live 105's BFT Festival, which took place the day after the Weenie Roast, which was another concert. In February 2012, it was reported that Brett had written 2 songs for the album. On June 25th, 2011, Bad Religion performed a live set for Guitar Center Sessions on DirecTV. The episode included an interview with program host Nick Harcourt. Do you remember Nick Harcourt? I remember that name.
Yeah, not really, because I didn't have DirecTV, so I didn't know it.
I had DirecTV briefly. I think I remember the guy. According to a May 2012 interview with Pennywise guitarist Fletcher Dragg, Brett is writing a fast Bad Religion album. He also said that Pennywise's new album, All or Nothing, inspired Brett to write a sequel to the band's 1989 album, No Control. On June 4th, 2012, Jay Bentley told the Bad Religion fan site that they were expected to begin recording their new album in July and August. He also stated that Brett and Joe Barresi are going to produce it. On July 23rd, the band uploaded a picture to Bad Religion's Facebook page of all the members except Greg Hetson, who was taking the picture in the studio with the caption, "Here we go again." Okay, so they're recording another album. Okay. Greg Graffin later stated that the album was supposed to be out by Christmas. "Fuck You" was the album's lead single and released on iTunes on November 3rd, which happened to be Greg Graffin's 48th birthday. It's amazing. You know, that was 2012. 30 years earlier, you couldn't write a song called "Fuck You" and release it. You know, it's amazing how music has changed. On November 5th, 2012, Bad Religion Day, it was announced that Bad Religion's 16th studio album, True North, would be released on January 2nd, 2013. On that same day, they premiered the single, "Fuck You." True North was received mostly positive reviews and managed to reach number 18 on the Billboard Top 200, marking Bad Religion's first ever top 20 album and highest ever peak on that chart in their entire 34-year career.
Wow.
Now, things would change here, okay? Bad Religion played a few shows as a 4-piece without Greg Hetson and Brett Gurewitz in mid-April to May 2013, starting with their appearance at That Damn Show in Mesa, Arizona on April 20th, including some high-profile shows such as Gros Rock in Belgium, leading fans to speculate over Greg Hetson's continued involvement in the band. On May 7th, 2013, Jay Bentley issued a statement to the fan site, which read, "Greg Hetson is dealing with some personal issues. If he wishes to make a statement, we will support that. If he chooses not to, we will support that. Mike Dimkich is indeed helping us out right now, and we are genuinely appreciative. Right now, we are just looking forward and getting ready to play our shows. The reason Hetson had not been touring with Bad Religion was likely due to the divorce of his second wife, Aaliyah, that he was going through." On January 11, 2014, Bentley confirmed on the brpage.net that Dimkich is a permanent member of the band. A few days later, Download Festival's official website uploaded a photograph of the new lineup, and that was also without Brett Gurewitz. On September 10th, 2013, it was announced that Bad Religion would be releasing their first Christmas album titled Christmas Songs on October 29th, 2013. It was their first album to not feature Greg Hetson since 1983's Into the Unknown. In a November 2013 interview, guitarist Brett Gurewitz stated that Bad Religion would start writing their 17th studio album in 2014.
Wow.
And guitarist Brian Baker said that he hoped Bad Religion would start recording the album in the fall of 2015. However, in a September 2015 interview, frontman Greg Graffin stated that he had been working on his first solo album since 2006's Cold as the Clay, and that the band would begin their writing after the release of his third solo album titled Millport. So a new Bad Religion album would not be released until around late 2016. Baker said, however, that the new album would not be released until 2017. Asked in a March 2017 interview about the follow-up to True North, Graffin said, "It's one of the great challenges as an artist to maintain the tradition of his or her prior work. That's hard to do. It normally takes Bad Religion 2 years to put out an album. Why has it taken us 4 years to release an album after True North? Well, True North was such a great album, and we owe it to our fans to take it seriously as a great album, that to do another one is going to take a lot more work." The Millport solo record was eventually released in March of 2017. From July to September of 2014, Bad Religion embarked on the Summer Nationals tour with Pennywise, their former label mates, The Offspring, The Vandals, Stiff Little Fingers, and Naked Raygun. Those last three bands are great.
That's a freaking hell of a lineup.
Yeah. Now, on October 27, 2015, drummer Brooks Wackerman officially left the band in order to pursue other projects, joining Avenged Sevenfold a week later. He was replaced by Jamie Miller, and You Will Know Us by the Trail of Dead. That was a band, Souls at Zero, and a band called Snot that he played for. Age of Unreason and possible follow-up album. We're talking 2018 to the present, okay? On February 14th, Valentine's Day, 2018, vocalist Greg Graffin posted on Twitter a picture of himself with guitarist Brett Gurewitz in the studio tweeting "New songs in the pipeline," indicating that they were working on Bad Religion's 17th studio album. Speculations about the album resurfaced in April of that year when Gurewitz and guitarist Brian Baker posted pictures from the studio on their respective Instagram accounts. On June 20th, 2018, the band released the song "The Kids Are Alt-Right," as opposed to "Kids Are Alright," but their first single in 5 years. Despite earlier reports that they had been in the studio since February up to mid-2018, and the fact that they had already released a new song, Gurewitz told Los Angeles Times in July 2018 that "We're writing for a new album. Recording this fall or late summer. No release date announced yet, but we should have an album's worth of fuck Trump songs pretty soon." It's exactly what we need. On February 26th, 2019, Bad Religion announced Age of Unreason as the title of their 17th studio album, which was released on May 3rd, and the album's lead single, Chaos From Within, was premiered. So on August 18, 2020, Do What You Want, The Story of Bad Religion, was an autobiography covering the band's 40-year career and was released by Hachette Books. Very cool book. About 4 months after the release of Age of Unreason, guitarist Brian Baker was asked if Bad Religion was already working on a follow-up album. His response was, "Nope, I'm not really thinking about a new album right now because this one is still developing and there is a lot of world yet to play." Yeah. 2020 is going to be a busy year for us, he said. It's our 40th year. We have a book coming out at the end of the year. It'll be our first authorized, somewhat participatory biography of Bad Religion. So there is a lot more to do with this record. The good thing about Bad Religion is that you don't really have to have a new product out to go work. The catalog we have is so extensive, and we are so fortunate to have the fan base that we have. So we don't really worry about a new album cycle. One thing about Bad Religion, they always take care of their fans.
Yeah. And the way they use the internet, Instagram, Twitter, they were pretty much using it pretty good for the advances to let fan know what's going on. That's always a good thing, letting people know what's going on.
Right. Now, what would happen on April 29th, 2020, Bad Religion announced on their social media accounts that they had to cancel all their tours due to COVID. And that was including a co-headlining tour with the band Alkaline Trio. They subsequently also rescheduled their South American and European tour dates with Suicidal Tendencies. originally scheduled for May and June of 2021. Once again, due to the COVID epidemic. They also rescheduled their North American tours, which was to take place in the fall of 2021. In October 2020, BadReligion released a new song, What Are We Standing For?, on streaming platforms, which was an outtake from the Age of Unreason sessions. On January 20th, 2021, BadReligion released a previously unreleased song called Emancipation of the Mind, which was recorded during the Age of Unreason sessions. The release of the song coincided with the inauguration of Joe Biden, and it had more hopeful themes compared to other songs that they've written, while also being a rejection of Donald Trump. So, so much of their music is sort of political. I don't know. I go back and forth with these guys. Like I said, they're a good live band. I just saw them. They're very good.
And they're playing in May with Social Distortion. So you know what?
I might go see him again.
Album.
I might go see him again. Okay. I guess it's obvious. I'll go into it here briefly. Okay. That basically they're a political band. This is what they talk about. I kind of prefer DOA's brand of politics. Okay. Yeah. A little bit more when we talked about DOA last week, but listen, BadReligion is a cool band. Everybody should check them out no matter what they think. Everybody's got a right to an opinion.
Yeah.
That's all we got for you today, buddy.
What a freaking history, man. Holy moly, man. That was a lot, man. That was like, what, almost 40 years?
Yeah, over 40 years. They're in their 44th year.
Wow. And all the albums, a shitload of albums. They definitely got a legacy because so many albums. You know what? They're pretty good at taking an album every few years. Every 4 to 2 years, they'll take out an album, which is not bad.
Well, they've been, now it's been 5 years since a new album. The last one being Age of Unreason. Obviously the pandemic had a lot to do with that. Yeah. I'm sure they're going to come out with something soon.
Yeah. So, all right, Mike. Thank you for all this information. We're on 3 episodes from the 200 episode, and we will talk about it in the next show because we'll make up some stuff. We'll give you a lineup. But we'll probably be going live that day for the 200 episode. It'll be in a location that we will disclose once we get all the details together. Right, Mike?
Yep. And we're talking, let's see. We got April shows to do. We got the Cult and the making of the Sex Pistols album. Never mind the Bullocks coming up.
Ooh, that should be interesting.
Yeah, and then the next one after that will be the 200 show. So I guess it could be May. If we go live, it's got to be May, right?
May, yeah, wow. That sounds good, man. May.
I'm looking forward to that.
Dates, and we'll get guests. We'll probably have guests that day appearing.
We're going to put something together for you guys out there. Trust me. So where can we find you, Rob? You're all over the place.
Just find me. Just look up Getting Lumped Up, and you'll find all the links to the YouTube, Twitter, X, Instagram, and Facebook page, and also the Rock Group Facebook page does very good. We got a lot of members. And if you like the show, please like and subscribe. We're trying to get 10,000 subscribers before the end of the year, guys. Help us.
It would be great.
Go and just subscribe.
And I'm very active on Facebook under Rock Gold Mike. It's probably the best place to find me. I am on, of course, the Rock Show podcast group page on Facebook, and also Instagram, Rocker Mike 212, Twitter, also known as X, Rocker Mike 212, and all the other little lesser ones, Truth Social, Getter, Cloud Hub, MeWe, all that. I'm Rocker Mike, so I'm all over the place. And definitely private message me on any of those platforms. I do answer as quickly as possible, and I love to get feedback. I love to hear ideas. You want to tell me I suck? I can take it. Yeah. But listen, it's all part of it, and I do listen to advice. So definitely have some ideas. I'd love to hear if there's anything you want to hear about, a certain band, certain artist. Get in touch. Let me know.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
And with that, people, remember, don't get drunk.
You get lumped up.
We'll see you soon.
Take care, people.
off my ears. Oh, the rock show, 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 the rock show. Oh, I want the rock show.